Well, Memphis also fired 2 EMTs and a fire lieutenant for what they said was failure to conduct an adequate patient assessment at the scene. And of course, the video that was released by the police, sparking nationwide calls for police reform yet again.
We need to go back to protecting our community. You cannot have anything relevant if there's no safety or security, so police are relevant.
The Congressional Black Caucus is requesting a meeting with the president to talk about the killing. So we have Sheriff Rochelle Bilal joining us now to discuss this and the reactions that we're seeing from folks about what happened on that night. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you for having me.
First, I want to get your reaction. When you saw that video and when it was released, what did you think of what was happening, what the officers were doing?
Negligence, horrified, sickening to my spirit as to what they were doing to a human being. I've never seen it to that. It was just crazy. You would thought they were a game.
There you go. Not one procedure was followed. Nothing went right.
There's no law enforcement professional that's taught something like that. You don't kick people in the face. You don't have 2 officers hold a person up so you can sucker punch them. That's a punk move right there. Mm-hmm. They had 300 pounds. The man was 140 pounds. You couldn't handle him by yourself.
So the charges are, you agree with those charges?
I agree with all. They need to give him some more.
Maybe first degree.
Because that looked like it was planned. You're going to plan to beat somebody to death? You stand around and do nothing? None of your oath, you took none of your oath into consideration when you did that.
They're going to say in court that they didn't know that he was going to die.
They ain't got to know that he was going to die. Just the amount of force that they used, that was unnecessary.
From your perspective, as you mentioned, that's not a training, that's not how it's supposed to go. How do these situations end up happening? Is it adrenaline? Do they just want, is it a power kick?
They started off wrong by screaming, dragging him out of the car. For what reason? What was the reason? Because I don't see anything that says to that level of force that you have to go grab somebody out of the car and immediately start beating on them.
It seems to me there's something else going on here.
Yeah,
don't you feel that?
I've got to be something else for you to be that angry at an individual and for the alleged reckless driving.
Reckless driving.
That's a ticket.
Mm-hmm. They're amped up, like you said, from the very beginning. Like, did any of them know him? My gosh, he was so close to home, too. He was about 90 yards away from his mom's house.
And it's so interesting when you see, I mean, we mentioned all the people, now 7 folks who are being, disciplined and investigated. What is the responsibility? If you see one officer who's, maybe going too far, shouldn't one of them step up and say something, or at least?
The responsibility is to stop it. But here's the situation. There was a woman before that stopped an officer from beating up somebody. I think it might have been in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She was fired.
She was fired.
Wow. At her 19th year, stopped her from getting her pension. 2 years ago, legislatively, she finally won. But she was devastated because she did the right thing. There need to be more police officers around the country to stop nonsense like this.
So do we need police reform?
Definitely. First of all, there is a company. Better training. They get the best training around the country. They need to basically deal with those officers that are out there acting this way. It takes us, their partners, their colleagues, to step up, say something, and do something.
But how do you know, when you say we need to identify and make sure for officers like that, how do you know that someone's going to end up, behaving in that manner? There's
a pattern. There's always a pattern. Their behavior just don't come out like that. Right. They start doing things, and it's a pattern, and they get whitewashed. They don't do anything about it. And so, therefore, they're allowed to do it again, and they think they can get away with it. They look like they was like having a party on this one man.
Yeah, and
it's
then
a shame.
EMTs show up, and they start standing around.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
He's laying there for like
their job is to save lives.
Yep.
And they did none of that.
Sheriff, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Coming back.